Welcome back to Claudie Cooks, guys. How are we all doing? Have I got a treat for you today? We are going to cook one of my childhood favorite, and that's stewed peas. Let's just give you a quick scan of what we've got here. This dish is packed full of flavors. So let's go cook up a storm in the kitchen. Are we ready? Yay! Let's party. See, right, I'm starting off in my trusted Dutch pot here. I'm going to add 2 cups of red peas, which I've soaked overnight. I've washed it first several times before putting the final 4 cups of water in here. And now I'm gonna pour this into the Dutch pot. Right, and I'll just tell you what I've got in the peas here. I've put some garlic, some ginger, some thyme, some onions, some spring onions, and also 2 cloves in there. But this is a step that I like to take because it adds extra flavors to the dish. But you can just put your peas in with water and that's it. But I like flavors. And coming from the Caribbean, you know we like our flavors. Right, next up is some oxtail. I'm using a kilo of oxtail, which I've washed and I've seasoned it as well. You don't have to season this, but I've used things like onion and garlic granules. I've used all-purpose seasoning, oxtail seasoning, some paprika and seasoning salt, you know, all of that. But of course, I will list all of the stuff that I've used in this recipe in the link for you. So don't worry thinking that you're going to miss anything, okay? Don't worry. And I'm also using some salted beef and some salted pigtail as well to this dish because it's stewed peas. And I love it with all of these things that I'm using today. Of course, you don't have to use the pigtail. You can omit that because I've cooked it without that before several times. But I'm really fancying stewed peas the way I remember my grandma used to make it. So I'm using the ingredients that she did. Right, so this is what the pigtails look like, right? I've washed it numerous times last night and I've woken up through the night as well and changed the water. I've also poured some hot boiling water on it, so a lot of the salt have already gone from the salted beef and also the pigtail, and that I'm going to be adding now to the pan. So let's pop over to the stove. Poured off the water from the pigtail and the salt beef that I've just shown you, and now I'm putting that all in the pan. Time to add some more water because we are going to cover that. Okay, we're just going to give that a bit of a stir just to make sure they're all submerged in the water. Before I put the lid on, I'm going to bring that to the boil. And once it starts to boil, I'm going to reduce the heat to medium-low. And I'm going to let that cook for about 2 hours. And then what I'm going to do in between is intermittently just check to make sure the water level is fine and it's not drying out and burning my delicious stew peas, right? Because I'm going to be cooking this for about 3.5 hours. Okay, but I'm starting off first with 2 hours. Checking in between to make sure everything is fine. So once that starts boiling, I will come back on. Here we are, the boiling now, and we're going to turn the heat down to medium-low. Let's do it. And those foamy bit on there, right, just skim them off before you put the lid on. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I will see you back here in 2 hours time. Okay. Here we are. Whoa. At the 2 hour mark. Look at that bubble. And then can you see on top here? I've got a bay leaf in there. Just going to give that a bit of stir. And then I'm going to check to see how tender the peas and the meats will be. Just bear with me for a moment. Right, you can see how much the water is reduced as well. Okay, so let's check for tenderness of the meat. See, the fork is going through, but I still wanted to cook more because I love when the meat is almost falling off the bones. Checking a couple of different pieces. Give it a little stir. It's smelling really good. Right, and let's check peas. Okay. Okay, those need to be cooked as well for more tenderness. What I'm going to do here now, I'm going to put a bit more boiling water in, just about half a cup. Okay, and I'm going to cover that and I'm going to let it cook for another hour, and then I will come back and start adding the rest of the ingredients. Another hour, and then we'll be ready to put the rest of the ingredients in. Yay, yay, yay. I'm loving it. Let's do a bit of dance. Get down, get down. Ow. Right, we are at the 3-hour mark. Okay, and I'm going to show you now what this is looking like. Wow, this is almost ready for us to eat. But we have to add all the other ingredients first before that can even happen. I'm going to show you. Look how tender. Look at that. Just the way I like it. Right, now that I've shown you how tender the meat is now at 3 hours, it's time for the next stage for us to make spinners to add onto the stewed peas. I can't really make stewed peas without putting some little dumplings in. I know, some people aren't able to have gluten and wheat-based stuff. So if you're making for someone with that issue, then you would need to take theirs out before you put the dumplings in. And just to say, I'm not sure if I had mentioned it already in my intro, that my meat, I washed and trimmed away excess fat from the oxtail, and I washed it several times, and then I soak it for about half an hour in some vinegar and some lime. Okay, and it was the same. Right, I may need a little bit more flour here. Well, I've just added a little bit more flour because it was a little bit soft. I think I went a bit heavy-handed with the water, which happens sometimes, but we can always remedy that anyways. And also I'd like to add that my hands, when I'm cooking in the kitchen, I wash my hands all the time, so my hands are very clean. And also I'm cooking it for myself and my family, so it's okay for me to use clean hands handling the dough. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this here whilst I go back to the stew peas and add the rest of the ingredients. So let's step across here. Okay, I'm going to add a tin of Grace coconut milk. Let's give this a little mix. I couldn't get any fresh coconut. Usually I would make it with fresh coconut milk that I grate and squeeze to make it, but I couldn't get any, so I've had to resort to the tin coconut milk. But the tin coconut milk is still very good. It's really delicious. Okay, so you don't have to feel compelled to find coconut to make a delicious stewed peas. And it's still absolutely delicious. Right now I'm just squashing some spring onion. I'm just kind of crushing them by rubbing them between my hand and just dropping them in. Okay, it's just bruise them rather than chopping them. Okay, and to that add in Scotch bonnet, some onion. I'm using medium This is just to add more flavor, lots of flavors to our food, and some bell peppers. And of course, I'm adding some more thyme. I love thyme. I love the flavor that comes from the thyme, so can't get enough of it. And I'm adding some extra garlic that I've sliced here, 3 cloves, plus some more pimento. Okay, and I'm also going to add some homemade green seasoning. Alright, let's give that a little mix just to get it all combined. Okay, that is looking pretty good, don't you think? I think it really is looking fabulous. Okay, now we're gonna add the same seasonings that I use to season the oxtail, right? So I'm gonna add, that was about half a teaspoon of onion granules and the same of garlic granules. And we've got some seasoning salt, and I'm going to put about a quarter, less than a quarter teaspoon of that. So we're gonna add some paprika, half a teaspoon. I love that because we get a little bit of smokiness from the paprika. And I'm going to add some more of my Portland seasoning. I love this. And we're putting in a teaspoon more, followed by some all-purpose seasoning. Again, we're adding a teaspoon. And now we're gonna give a good splash, splash, splash of our Maggi liquid seasoning. Yeah, flavor, flavor, flavor. Let's give this another stir. I'm telling you, this is looking really good, really good. When I seasoned the oxtail, I did not add any salt to it because obviously I was using salted beef and salted pigtail. But because I have cleaned away the salt so much from it, I'm going to add some salt. But before I add any salt, I'm going to have a little taste. Oh my gosh! Loving, loving, loving. I wish we had smelly phones so you could actually smell it through that screen. It is smelling scrumptious. I'm gonna add, as you can see, not even a teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna add some more hot water. Another taste test. Yeah, come on over here and party. Whoa, whoa. But I've just added the rest of the coconut milk to this delicious stewed peas. Right, let's start making those little spinners. Just to note, I use 3/4 cups of flour. Lots of these beauties. I love dumpling. Right, time to give this a little stir. I'm going to put a dash Worcestershire sauce, and I'm gonna add a bit more garlic granules. Don't have to worry because this is salt free, so you can be a bit more liberal with it. And I've been very careful about, the use of salt. Let's mix this baby up. Oh my goodness, I'm so hungry. Just smelling this smells divine. Right, before I put the lid on for the next half an hour, I'm just going to give it another taste. Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby, whoa, yeah. Right, time to put the lid on and stop all the shenanigans here. Right, we're going to let that simmer down for half an hour and then I'll be back. Right, this is 3.5 hours now and it's all done. Look at that. Look at that beauty. Bet you can't wait to serve this up. I hope you've been cooking along with me. Right, I'm gonna let that sit for a bit until my rice is finished because I'm serving mine up with rice and some other sides. I don't know what you're gonna serve yours with, but I will show you what I'm doing mine with. So I'll be back when I'm serving up. I know, you're waiting for this, and here you have it. cookX delicious and tasty coconutty creaminess oxtail, salt beef, and pigtail stewed peas. Doesn't that look delicious? Oh my god. Okay, have a taste and a sip.